Video was requested by one of our most active commenters, Frank the Tank. We're going to be talking about the most unique and most underrated pet bugs, including water beetles, Jerusalem crickets, Vinegaroons, the slender Teneb, a kind of desert beetle, and finally, Kelsey really wanted to talk about earwigs.
One of my favorite insects is a Jerusalem cricket. Some people know them as potato bugs. Some people are really freaked out by how they look. I think they're adorable, and I think that they look like mammals. So I name all of my Jerusalem crickets mammal. I looked away for 2 seconds, and I don't know where the cricket went. Oh! They're really interesting. A lot of crickets will chirp to communicate, but they thump their abdomens. They love to dig tunnels. Here's a smaller one. Some people think that they are venomous or dangerous. They're not. They can bite, and it might hurt, but there's no venom. Here's a unique looking one. It has kind of a darker head. Jerusalem crickets can live a couple of years. Here's a little cutie. They love to explore. They have those big mandibles. They'll eat pretty much anything. They'll eat flies, other insects, carrots, jellies, apples, pellets. Got a little jelly cup right here. Sensing the jelly. They're just so fascinating to watch. They've got those adorable eyes. And it's honestly kind of a big bug. So you can see its mouth parts really well. We've had some very large Jerusalem crickets before, like impressively large. This one is more of a medium-sized one. It might not be an adult yet.
Visitors of our website for most of the 29 years it has been up will be surprised to know that aquatic insects are a thing. That's a sunburst diving beetle. There's a pink Ramshorn snail crawling down the stem beneath it. These are back swimmers, a smaller species of back swimmer. They measure about 1/2 inch body length, maybe just a little bit under. Aquatic tanks are the most active pet bug tank. For many years, I thought that desert beetle tanks were the most interesting to watch. But then I moved to Arizona about 5 years ago, had better access to some of the awesome aquatic insects down here. And I almost hate to say it, but hands down, these are the best. So fun to watch. Just constant movement in the tank. Anybody that's kept fish is familiar with how mesmerizing it can be to just watch things swimming around. It's calming. Got a few other species of interest in here. This one at the top is called Rhantis atricolor. It's a big black diving beetle. And then the Sunburst diving beetle coming back around, maybe going to give it a little bump. Well, activated it anyway. The diving beetles rise up to the surface of the water to grab a breath of air. They'll extend the tip of their abdomen through it. And same thing with these back swimmers. They'll also rise up to the surface and poke the tip of their abdomen in there. And you see some fine little hairs there at the tip of the abdomen. They've got big eyes, all the better to see their prey with. Highly recommend a planted tank, a dirted tank like this. There's a 2-inch layer of dirt, soil, mixture of some fertilizers in it, and then also a sand cap, about 1 inch of sand. And I set this tank up maybe 2 years ago now, 1.5 years ago, not sure. I think by this point, you guys can understand why this is probably my top recommendation for an underrated pet bug tank in particular. These organisms will feed on dead insects, fish food pellets. The back swimmers, these guys right here, they're best fed with things that you drop into the water column that will sink a little bit, or live Daphnia, which I'll show you a clip of as well.
What?
It's that little thing you take everywhere. It went to Hawaii with us, and you send pictures of it traveling to all your friends.
That's true.
Wandering around the yard. It rained a few days ago for half the day. Rained hard. And that's always the cue to bring them out. My top pick for most unique, most underrated pet bug is the Vinegaroon, also called a whipscorpion after the flagellum, that tail there. 2 whips up front, feelers, modified legs, gathering information about the world around them as it moves about. They've got pedipalps up front there, pinchers. Scorpions have them like this. Vinegaroons have 3 like this. This is a male. Found him in the house. Found 2 adult males in the house this year. I live in a very special part of southern Arizona. You can tell it's a male because of those thumb-like projections. They look like sharp thorns. They're long and skinny. Isosceles triangle-shaped rather than equilateral triangle-shaped like females have. When extended, those pedipalps, they get pretty long. I mean, this is a big bug. I don't think there's anything more unique. I don't even think the human imagination could have come up with this animal right here. And that tail, they'll wiggle it around sometimes, and when they do, it means that they're spraying their Vinegaroon, hence the name. See it shaking its tail there? They're called Vinegaroons because they can emit spray, kind of an odor most of the time, of vinegar, acetic acid. They're very long-lived, 10 years. Takes about half that for them to mature. And they are so easy to care for. In nature, they actually don't feed for the majority of the year. They just live in burrows, sort of overwintering, waiting for monsoon season when it rains down here in the desert. And then they come out, and there's a good look at the pedipalp right there. They come out and do all of their feeding at that time. See how I said it's like 3 of them, not 2, like in scorpions. They bulk up and then they go back underground, and when they emerge in monsoon season, the front end, July or so the following year, they are paper thin. Their abdomens are so skinny compared to what you see right there. And they'll come out and they'll just feed like crazy on anything that moves. This is Mastigoproctus tohono. There are 3 species in the United States. This is the Arizona, New Mexico one. And the other 2 are Floridanus from Florida and Giganteus mostly from Texas and surrounding states. This is the Vinegaroon. Nothing can be more unique than that. And they are so easy to care for. They just need crickets. They like to have a deep substrate to burrow into. If you want to see them more often, don't give them a deep substrate, but give them a piece of bark or something to burrow under. If you want to see your pet, just pop that up. But they're otherwise pretty active, moving around. Nocturnal creatures, but it's not nighttime right now, so you can see that this one is out and about. And it was when I pulled it out of its tank as well for the video. We'll move on to the next bug.
A very underrated bug, in my opinion, is the Cerenopus concolor Slender Teneb. They kind of look like rough, death-feigning beetles, and you will often find them in the same place. Look at that, they're sharing. They're really interesting to me. They're probably my favorite darkling beetle. The way that they move their heads around, they really kind of remind me of dogs. They look curious. Look at that. Another thing I really like about them is that they'll breed in the tank, lay their eggs, and I've gotten quite a few larvae to adulthood. They carry their food around. It's adorable. Oh, that's a big carrot. They're just really fun to watch. They are a great addition to a desert beetle tank. All right. Let's discuss earwigs. They are the best pet bug. They dig tunnels. They dig holes. They're a lot like Vinegaroons in that they will make their enclosure exactly how they want it if there's a pebble in the way of something. They'll move it. They will use their mandibles to pick it up and put it somewhere else. Like a little pebble, a little piece of moss. They're really interesting to watch. They're very busy. My favorite species is the Labidura riparia. We find them in our yard here in Arizona. They're non-native, but they are beneficial insects because they eat plant pests. In captivity, I feed them flies, pellets. They will dabble in jelly every once in a while. They also display maternal care behaviors. They'll lay their eggs. They will sit on them like a chicken. They clean their eggs, and they care for the young once they've hatched. They feed them, and they do all the things a good mother does. Here's an adult male earwig using his forceps to hang on to its prey, a blue bottlefly. You can tell it's a male because of its forceps, and I will get into that in a more detailed way in a different video. That is also a male, an adult male. Here's one that I found outside eating a beetle. Delicious. Here is a female using her forceps she punctured a blue bottlefly pupa and is having a feast, a delicious feast. Here's a female with some eggs. Sitting on them like a hen. Here she is cleaning her eggs. She also moved them to a different location and buried them. Here she is grabbing a pellet. Gonna take it to her lair. I should also mention they do not inhabit ears.
I was naming the bugs that we're featuring in the video, and I said for the fifth one, and finally, Kelsey really wants to talk about earwigs. And why is that? Why do they deserve to be in the group?
They're the best pet bug.
The best, she says. The best. You think an earwig tank is more interesting than this tank right here?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. That's a very diplomatic answer. And I suppose I'll agree with it. What are you making back there?
Spaghetti.
Spaghetti. With the homemade sauce again?
That's right.
People keep coming back for that spaghetti sauce. This Earwigs diving beetle thinks it's a whirligig beetle.
Did you tell the people of YouTube about the Rhantis plague?
The people of YouTube. We did see on a couple consecutive rainy nights here this year an absolute parade of Rhantis show up. It was pretty much the best night of my life. What's the best night of your life?
The first night that I ever saw an Omorgus.
Oh, an Omorgus. We talked about Omorgus for this video, and I specifically said nobody's ever heard of them. We can't do the Omorgus. We did have that conversation, didn't we?
Thumbs up if you've heard of Omorgus.